So again, we were examining the murder of Mrs. Bolanle Raheem by the police. So as you can see, the hashtag is justice for Bolanle Raheem. I will be encouraging all of us to tweet with that hashtag, and then also send invitations to speak. For those that had already contributed, please can you mute your mic? I don't know how. Yeah, thank you. So for those that have already contributed, I will be asking that we give others the opportunity to make their inputs. I'm hoping that more people will join as we begin to round up on the conversation on this piece. So I'm glad to add ENDSears as a co-host to assist in hosting this space. And then I hope that going forward, we would be able to conclude without any further disruption. So let me invite, the name is complicated, Official Paul 17, to speak. Please, you have 2 to 3 minutes. Official Paul 17, your profile is a bit scary. I don't know what image you have there, whether it's a human being that owns this account. I cannot relate to the name or the image. Well, I will have to allow some other person to speak since you are not available. I am Babatokwe to speak. 2 to 3 minutes, please.
Thank you so much, Barrister, for the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. I was listening on the first space before it crashed, and one of the questions I posted that I saw Barrister Ini retweet was, what can be done to ensure that hospitals in Nigeria have personnel who can attend to gunshot incidences? I mean, I listened with pain to the account from the late lawyer's husband and the voice note, and she was taken to 2 hospitals and they told him, we can't attend to this. Perhaps that woman would have lived and we could now be talking of dealing with the police officer and not the loss of. I mean, like I had tweeted several times, she wasn't the only one that was killed. She was pregnant, for crying out loud. I mean, that's a mother and a child or children being killed in one instance. I mean, so we may need to also look into that area where hospitals in Nigeria, no matter how big or small, have at least one personnel who can attend to gunshot incidences, first aid, keep the person alive, whilst we now talk of referring to a bigger hospital if need be. That's number one. Number two, someone asked on the first space the possibilities of asking police officers in Nigeria not to carry gun on the streets. And Barrister Ini was saying that might not be possible in the, very soon. I think it should be possible. I am presently in the United Kingdom. I'm in Nottingham. I don't see police officers carrying guns. You can easily walk up to a police officer in Nottingham to shake hands and say, hello, good evening. I traveled to London from Nottingham when I got to UK freshly, and I missed my way. I walked up to policemen, 2 policemen standing, smiling at me as I was walking towards them because already they saw on my face that I was confused about something. And I told them I've missed my way. I told them where I was going to. They brought out their phones, opened Google on their phones, the Google map, to tell me how to get to where I was going to from the point where we were. I mean, it's I lived in Ghana for a couple of years. Not one day did I see a policeman carrying a gun on the street. The best you see with them was their wooden buttons on their side. These things are doable. These things are doable. I mean, we can't keep trending hashtags. We can't. I mean, this hashtag is for the ones we know. How can one police station be? I've killed 2 people in the space of 1 month. and police is saying they are investigating. What exactly are you investigating? Are they saying the account of the husband who was in the car with his wife when she was shot dead is not true? What exactly are they investigating? Gafar that was killed, now they are still investigating. We've not heard anything. And this is how these things. And someone was saying, oh, the policemen are not being paid. If you are not being paid, is the fellow citizen the one for you to come and kill? Are we? Is a Nigerian citizen buying bread at a different price from the policeman? Is it not because of these same policemen that ENDSARS matters happen? What in turn happened? The same policemen turned around to fight people who were fighting for them. Enough of these things. Enough of these things. It's this sad news every day is becoming. I mean, I can't imagine what trauma these people would be going through every year once it is Christmas. Except God helps that family to heal and heal on time. Christmas is going to become traumatic for them for the rest of their lives, except God helps them. So these things are doable, but I mean, the people who would sit down to pass these bills and sponsor these bills would not do it because of their selfish reasons. Someone wrote a tweet and then it changed the entire perspective of this matter in my mind and said, this lady who just died is a lawyer or was a lawyer. Now we refer to her in past tense. She was a lawyer. What case was she handling that they needed her to be out of the way for? What case was she handling that they needed her out of the way for? Because from the husband's account, park, and whilst he was still making his way to park, he has a gunshot direct to the chest. That is unthinkable. It is unthinkable. A lot needs to be done, but I mean, let's start from what can be achieved. Let's even the healthcare system. Let hospitals have, because right now it doesn't look like there's an end in sight for trigger happy discharge from these police officers. So if we have to battle that, let our hospitals be well equipped with personnel that can attend to gunshot wounds, gunshot incidences. Let's save lives first of all before we start dealing with the police. For their PROs who come on Twitter to write what they like, well, we leave them and their consciences and God. Let's hope they sleep well at night when they get back to their houses. Thank you so much, Barrister, for what you're doing. Thank you for the space. We hope that we get it right in 2023 with the elections, and then let's see where God takes us from there as a nation.
Thank you for your contribution. Idara said you can proceed. Please invite the next speaker. Thank you.
Okay, so our next speaker will be Ebene Topsy.
Hello, good morning, everyone. This is really a sad incident, and it's one too many. And like many people have said, the question is, who's next? The Nigerian police force is one institution I know very well. I have families, I have friends. The highest person I know has risen to the rank of AIG, retired. And that institution is one I know can never be reformed. You cannot reform the Nigeria police force. It's impossible. What needs to be done to that institution is for it to be dismantled. If it's dismantled, if there's a way for, officers who are disengaged to reapply, to be psychological evaluated, to be given better training, maybe we could have a working police force. Because when we have incidents like this, you see the police PROs coming to window dress. These police PROs, they're just they are small fries. There's nothing they can do. They know it. When they say, oh, we've arrested him, we've arrested the erring officer, he's going through orderly room trial, they know nothing will come out of those investigations. It won't stop incidents like this from happening. Because the senior police officers, they give these younger junior officers the guts to engage in this criminality. If they are not condoned by the commissioners of police, by the AIGs, up to the rank of the IG, to engage in this criminality, these things won't happen. We all know these people give returns to superior officers. These things are, common knowledge. If we have uh, good regulation within the force, that punishes uh, gutter behaviors as this, things like this won't happen. So we need to have a Nigerian police force that works for everyone. Currently, this police force cannot work at all. So if we dismantle it, you know, maybe the civil defense in conjunction with the military, we perform, temporary law enforcement functions within that period. I really don't know because I'm just confused. But all I can tell you is that the Nigeria police force cannot be reformed. It cannot. It cannot. And looking at emergency responses in Nigeria, I think it's also poor. You know, when somebody is, oh my, can you hear me?
I can
Oh,
hear you. We can hear you.
okay. So if somebody is shot, you can't get, adequate health care. I believe we should have, good emergency responses. Gunshot, I think there was a time the police IG issued directives to the hospitals to treat gunshot victims. Why do hospitals keep rejecting gunshot victims? I really don't understand. So we need to take life seriously. So in some senior climes in the world, people hardly die from car crashes. If there's a crash within 2 minutes, you see the police there, ambulance, fire service to rescue lives. So why do we toy with the lives of our citizens? I mean, it makes me sad. I'm not in the country at the moment, but these things make me sad because I'm still a Nigerian. So, but my point is, the Nigeria police force cannot be reformed. I really don't know how we're going to come out of this mess, but I do hope that something is done, you know, quickly. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very nice submission. I agree a lot with your point, the point you raised about, the police force not being able to be reformed. Because when I look at it, like, how are they going to go about it? Maybe some experts can help, but I really don't see how that will work. And I also really agree to, setting up an interim, law enforcement agency with one of the ones we have, and probably just starting the recruitment process from the very beginning. Because what we have as policemen qualify to be called madmen. Forgive my language, but their actions qualify them to be addressed as uh, crazy people. So, thank you very much for that submission. So, our next speaker is going to be, we have a hand raised. Omo, Omoluwa, do you want to
Yeah,
contribute to?
yeah. All right. Thank you. Well, I just want to maybe ask a question, or I really don't know. It's a submission, but it's a kind of question. I'm just, I'm just thinking that okay, just like you said, let's just assume our policemen are crazy. Like, let's assume that they are. I'm sorry to really say that, but let's assume that they are sick. What about our hospitals? Why do hospitals keep rejecting bullet wounds? Why do we have to still continue that? That woman could have been saved if she was accepted in the first hospital or the second one. Why do we have to still keep hospitals have to keep rejecting bullet wounds? Why? This is we are in 2023, for God's sake. Of course, I really need to know. Maybe I should ask Barrister Inibe. Is it a crime for an hospital to reject? I mean, is there something we don't know? Why do they keep rejecting patients with bullet wounds? And these people eventually, after taking them to the third or second hospital, they die along the way. It's really disturbing. They could have saved this woman if the first hospital actually accepted her. The second one said the husband said because he was a bullet wound, the second hospital they asked them to go. Maybe they would have saved the woman. Now we'll be talking about something else, not her dying and then police, we cannot reform them. It's not we can only, I really don't know. I don't really have a solution to the police reform. But now that we can't reform police, at least for now, what about hospitals? Why do they keep rejecting bullet victims? Why? Is everybody going to be mad in Nigeria at the same time? Thank you, please.
Again, like some of us have always insisted, we have a crisis of impunity in our country, a pervasive culture of impunity. And doctors are also part of this, medical practitioners are part of this impunity. It is because of this.
Is it just me or the internet of Barrister Ini is
I
not
guess it's his.
cooperating?
I guess it's his internet.
Okay.
Can you?
So Inibe, you can continue.
Okay, so I said if I could just intervene quickly, there is a law in Nigeria known as the Compulsory Treatment and Care for Victims of Gunshot Act, signed in 2017. That act, an act of the National Assembly, makes mandatory hospitals and medical healthcare givers in the country to give treatment to the hospital after being shot. Someone, the hospital will demand they call a police report. They will need the report of the police before they can accept the victim for treatment. And that has resulted in the death of so many people. The National Assembly decided to pass a law to stop that practice, that illegal practice by doctors and health care givers. They now enacted this act, which makes it mandatory. There is no discretion. That the moment a victim of gunshot is brought into any hospital or clinic, that facility must compulsorily afford that person all necessary and required treatment without demanding or asking for the doctor's report or police report. Sorry. It is even a criminal under that act for a hospital or a medical practitioner to refuse to attend to a gunshot victim on the basis that there is no report or for any other reason. It is after that person has been treatment, that is when that facility is required to notify the police. They are to notify the police for the purpose of documentation, not as the basis or a precondition for treating the person. But as I said, this is a lawless country. Since this act was passed, just like the Torture Act of 2017, that criminalized the torture of suspects and citizens by law enforcement agencies, of violating this act. So we must use people. I have always advocated for the culture of scapegoating people in a country like Nigeria. We must use some doctors, some hospitals as scapegoats. Hospitals are put on trial and the matter is put in the media. Two doctors are arraigned in court.
Efyong, sorry, I would like to cut you short before you proceed further, if I'm going to be allowed.
So no.
Yeah.
I said I would like to actually cut you short before you proceed further. Are you aware of this same act also states that if a patient is brought in with a gunshot injury, even while they are being treated, such kind of a case must be reported to the police in not less than 2 hours, and if not reported to the police, is also a criminal offense. Are you aware?
Sorry, I don't know if you were the speaker who asked the question. Hello,
No,
Idar
he
said.
wasn't.
I don't know if
He
you can
wasn't the
intervene
person who asked the
earlier.
question.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello? Sorry, can you hear me now?
I'm going to mute
I
everyone
hope the
because it
network is
seems
not
there is
gonna disrupt this again.
uh um I'm going to call on speakers based on the list I have because it seems there is a little bit of mix up here. So while we wait for Inibe Effiong to get back with his connection, I'm going to invite Agedo CEO to speak. Agedo
Darcy,
CEO,
can you
can
hear
you
me?
speak?
All right, thank you. Thank you. I believe
I
everyone
can
can
hear
hear me.
you. Inibe Effiong, please hold on.
Yes, thank you very much. What has happened is quite saddening, but we are not shocked because it's not the first time it will happen. Neither will it be the last. Yeah, except God help us by His infinite mercy. You can see from the analysis of the husband of the deceased lawyer. You see, in this country, everybody is just on their own. If you listen to his analysis, it's possible the man was left alone to bear his cross. In the sense that the movement from each of these hospitals, don't be surprised, the man practically had to carry the wife and put in the back seat of the vehicle driving around. Now, when it comes to these hospitals, we understand that there are some hospitals that are just basic healthcare center. But even as a basic healthcare center, some of these hospitals they are below functional. Some of them they don't have ambulances. They don't know how
Darcy,
to
can you hear
respond to
me?
emergency. They don't know how. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Continue.
Okay, so they don't know how to respond to emergency cases. Okay, what if the first hospital had received in their ambulance with their medical personnel in the ambulance rendering first aid and drove off to the best hospital that they felt would have been able to handle the situation? But if you check this whole thing very well, you'll be surprised they didn't do nothing. They just folded their hands and allowed things go. And this our policing system of a thing, it's not as if there's no the leaders they know what to do. The leadership of the country they know what to do. But there again, you now look at the issue of who is benefiting from this present structure of the Nigeria police. Who is benefiting? So at this point, you now realize that there's a war between the corrupt elite classes and the poor masses. Because what is there in unbundling this structure that doesn't work? Let's throw in state policing into this thing. Don't be surprised if you, yeah, assuming we have state police, if you try this kind of nonsense in Lagos, maybe in Benin may not take it because of the leadership structure and all of that. I'm just giving an instance. But it happens, they know how they rule. They just say he's undergoing investigation. How can the police be investigating an incident? There should be a separate body, a separate maybe an audit that comes in that are trained. Maybe they come in and investigate, and the police opens it. They come and investigate. Neutral body and say, okay, this is your law, this is your law, this is where you've gone wrong, this is where you've gone wrong. But like I've said, it's a fight between the corrupt elite classes and the poor masses, whether we like it or not. And the place where I want to drop this final blame is at the doorstep of us as a people. Until we rise up to demand for what works. Just take for instance, sorry to bring in politics. I keep asking, what is the use of, okay, I registered my voting in point B. I must return to point B to vote if I want to vote. But whereas we have a banking system whereby I deposit money in Ondo, I go to Port Harcourt and make withdrawal. The system doesn't pay me Mr. B's money, doesn't pay me Mr. A money. So how come we are still at this level? Because some persons are benefiting from it. So long we sit and fold our arms, it will be a continuous trend. And let me finally say, Nigerians, we are not really our brother's keeper. We easily move and forget everybody. We just after now we just make small noise, and at the end of the day, the next day everybody carries on about the activity as if nothing happened. People are massacred in Kaduna, and the next day everybody goes about their business as though nothing happened. It is hard time. In fact, we demand a total shutdown of the entire. This guy, you don't just waste a life like that. It's not as if you kill a chicken or you kill a goat. This is a human life for crying out loud. The kids were in the vehicle. Whether you like it or not, Except maybe God intervenes, those kids they will never see Nigeria as their country because you have taken what matters to them in their very eyes on a day of celebration and come to also mark it because this stuff now it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing because they don't even control their officers. If you go to where they are selling this, what's it called, this Ogogoro in the morning, people carrying AK-47, that's where they report to first. They first of all go and drink all sorts of rubbish mixed together. Then they go about their duty. Is that the kind of country we want to continue to live in? You see a police officer, you are scared. You don't even know what will happen. Like in this case now, pack. It goes beyond what media. Pack. Somebody is packing there, the next thing, boy. For
Please
what?
round up. Please round up.
So in my final submission is that we all have to rise collectively and demand for what is rightfully ours. If not, it is somebody else's turn. It was somebody else's turn on the 7th of December, on the 24th or the 25th for somebody else. Who's next? We wouldn't know. So we wouldn't know. So this is where I like to draw the curtain. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much for your nice contribution. Please, if you have spoken, I would like you to drop from from the stage, or I will remove you so that I can accept more speakers. I see a lot of hands being raised, but before we have I am Babatunde to speak. I want Inibe Effiong, could you please round up what you were trying to, the question you were trying to respond to? Inibe, are you with us? Okay, I am Babatunde. Could you proceed to speak?
Oh, I have spoken. You could give someone else the opportunity. Thank you.
All right, so the next speaker would be Holuwatu Toby. Are you there? And then the next would be Oluomo of, no, Oluomo, how did I have your name here? Okay, Somide Samu. Where are the speakers? Okay, I'm calling on Josie Snow to speak. I think you have also spoken already.
Yeah, I already spoke.
All right, so I will drop you from the stage.
All right,
Can
thanks.
I? Can I speak?
Uh, please go ahead.
Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Well, I've been hearing a lot of comments. Actually, for the past 6 months, I've been working uh, on some content about uh, various police brutalities, victims being shot, and trying to balance the whole story. So I don't really want to dive in so much, but the problem we have in Nigeria is when it comes to issues like this, it's three things. Now there's a act that says, okay, if a person is brought to your hospital as a well a with a gun wound injury, you should treat this person. You shouldn't reject it. Okay, fine. Under that same law, it also states that no gun wound patient should be left on. I mean, a gun wounded if a gun wound patient is brought in, such kind of a wound should be reported to the police hours, to the police station, to the nearest police station in the last 2 hours. If not, that means such kind of a patient is actually being concealed. Like that means the hospital is actually concealing a proposed suspect. Now, balancing the two, the whole truth boils down to the fact that I listened to the NMA secretary uh, comment on this particular part of the doctors. They say this is the excuse that okay, it takes nothing less than 4 hours to treat a gun wound patient. It takes nothing less than 4 hours to actually go into a theater to carry out operation on a gun, like when it's a gun wound, like the minimum they can use is 4 hours. Now, the only person who is actually in much more better position to make such report is a medical doctor, like a nurse won't I mean, sorry, I mean, the police report is not a nurse. It has to be the doctor. Now, the enemy secretary was like, okay, they brought in a gun wound person, and then that person is taken straight down to the theater, and they need 4 hours to operate. And the law says they had to report to the police station in 2 hours. And the person who was supposed to do that is inside carrying out operation on the said patient. Now, the point there was the fact that now, if the police find out that they had a patient with them for more than 2 hours, they can be prosecuted. If they don't report the patient to the police, if they don't take the patient in, they are still going to be prosecuted. So it's more or less like having a sword with a two-edged. The problem we're having in Nigeria is the fact that there's a lot of things that really need amendment and reform, and that's a major problem we're having with the Nigeria police force, the old arms, the old military arms of Nigeria. Basically, it requires a real reform, as we have all been advocating. The fact boils down to the fact that going down to how a normal Nigeria is, you can never trust a normal Nigeria with power. They misbehave, no matter who they are. It has happened on a normal occasion with individual people. If you give them power, if you give them autonomy, they misuse it. That's why you see a policeman on the road trying to take bribe, and someone that is condemning the bribe, they're actually condemning it because it's not favorable to them. If they're also in the same position, they would do that. We have a societal problem. But the whole fight boils down to the fact that the whole system should be able to rebuild, reform, and re-engineer the life. A police officer should think differently, should act differently, and should be able to relate differently with people. That's what the system should do for them. But the system has constantly failed to reform them. It even make them a very worse person. I've had various encounters of police brutality. I was coming one day, and just like what happened to this lady, I was told to park. I showed them all my papers, showed them my driver license, and the police, like, basically, they just want to exalt you. And all those things are happening because the system has actually failed. So, rightly, every police officer actually need a reformed to let them understand what their role in the society is and how they have to play it. It should actually be a system that when you go into, basically you become a new person. I think the old brain can actually be brainwashed to become a much more, that's just what is actually needed, because it doesn't really, there's no way we're going to scrap the Nigeria police force.
Sorry, I had to mute everyone. Mr. Sam, please try and round up in 30 seconds. Thank you. You can continue and round up in 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much. So actually, the old police force actually need a reformed from the beginning to the end. Like, we really need to brainwash those guys, tell them, try to put in a system that will change the mindset, change the orientation, and that's when we can actually solve all this problem. And then the second thing is the law itself. When the law itself contradicts each other, then it doesn't really make any sense. And that's a problem we're having with the Constitution of Nigeria. There are a lot of loopholes that really need to be looked into. And that is where the problem we're having right now will be solved. Because the hospital that will have taken a gun, a patient who was shot by a gun, has two things to choose from. Either you take this person in, and then if you don't report in 2 hours, you'll be prosecuted, or not take it in and be prosecuted. But the whole fact, just as we have all rightly said, if the law is should protect us as a citizen, and I felt like it actually needs to be reformed. About the 2 hours clause is actually a no.
All right, thank you, Sam. We appreciate your submission. We need a reformation of the police force. Thank you very much for your very nice contribution. I'm going to call on the next speaker. And please, I would want every one of us to summarize our thoughts in 2 to 3 minutes. So after, when it's 2 minutes, 30 seconds, I will just interrupt and tell you to round up. And when it's 3 minutes, I'm going to kind of mute you so that we can have everybody share their perspective. Thank you for understanding. Our next speaker is going to be Paul Ezieme.
Yeah, good evening, everyone, or good afternoon, depending on your location. It's a very sad story. What we had the killing of this beautiful lady. You know, police reform will not help us. Let's be honest. This situation is happening on daily basis. The reason why we heard about this is because the people involved are somehow connected. That's how this. It has been going on all over Nigeria. And one of the people the ones we don't have any knowledge about it, or people that are less privileged that we don't hear about it. So the bottom line is that, and you know why I'm very sad is because to show you that the government are sponsoring this nonsense, the identity of the police officer, they will not review it. And I strongly believe these are part of the Boko Haram, repented Boko Haram they recruited into the security forces to be all this havoc to our people. So I don't believe we should go to election. I don't believe we should reform any police uh, forces. I believe we should do referendum to know where we belong. Because Nigerian government let us know that these people are foreigners. And it's also on record where Kaduna State governor paid these people to stop killing. It's also on record where Nigerian government pay Mietiala. And all these things are going on. What are we suggest for us to do?
Sorry, sir, Mr. Paul. Sorry for interrupting you. I would like us not to derail from the topic. While I understand where you are coming from, I would strongly recommend that we stay within the topic.
Let me just round up very quick. I will suggest that police reform is not the issue. ENDSears protest is a case study on this. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Paul, for your submission. Our next speaker will be Josie Snow. And please stick with the topic of the discussion. This is not a political space, as much as we know that this has to do with, a governance deficit, and we know there is a failure in leadership. Please, we are not going to go into the politics of it. So let's stay with the topic of the space. Thank you. Josie Snow, are you there? Or we have David Ngozi. David, unmute your mic and speak. We have Lord Omo.
Yeah, hello. Can everyone hear me?
Can you
We
hear
can
me?
hear you.
David is on the line. Can I go
David,
on?
continue. Continue, David.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I want to start by first of all sending my condolences to the family of the deceased. It's very sad that this kind of thing is a daily issue in Nigeria, where people are killed at random and nothing is done about it, and nobody is brought to justice. You said who next? It may be you tomorrow, it may be me, it may be one of us. But then, what is the solution to this problem? We talk about police reform. we talk about the judiciary, we talk about the health system, and all the rest of them. And you begin to ask yourself, police reform, health system, judiciary, is it the solution to these killings? It is not the solution to these killings. The government, what is the government doing about these killings? This our sister that was killed, we are able to gather here because she is a well-known, if I may say, she is well-known. That is why you have to converge on space to talk about her death. What about the ordinary citizen, the ordinary people we regard as nobodies, the touts in the marketplaces, in the road, at the police, the army, the DSS, they kill them at random without anybody having to make a case for them. So what am I saying? And you said, in as much as it has political undertone, or the government is complacent or whatever, and you don't have to talk about it, but you want a solution. If you don't want to talk about it, then why finding a solution? Because the solution lies on that issue you don't want to talk about. I give you an instance. There is, when you go online right now, Gumi said that he advised the Northerners not to elect a politician that will kill or go against the bandits. But you are talking about election, and you don't want to talk about the issue that is leading to the killings of the people in Nigeria. I am not in Nigeria, but we are concerned. What has the government done to Gumi? If it is you that is speaking here on space, that put that thing out there in Sahara, newspapers or whatever, they will come and pick you, and nobody will go for you. So let us not run about, we can't run away from the solution. We are trying to dive here and there, bring our suggestions. Your suggestion will not work. You have to go to the solution. What is the issues that are causing this death in Nigeria, and what has the Nigerian government done to minimize or to stop all these killings? Nothing, absolutely nothing. So I don't want to take more of your time, but the truth of the matter is that I know 70% or 80% of the participants in this space are young men and women. I know that. I have looked at the profiles. You guys are intelligent people. In outside world, people of your age, they talk about solutions. But because you are afraid in the country that you are, that is why you are running out. Yes.
Mr. David, can we hear one or two of your solutions? Can we hear them?
Okay, my solution, it is unfortunate. You like it or you hate it. My solution is, a brother talked about it a few minutes ago. If you want a solution to this, if you are a Yoruba man, if you are an Igbo man, if you are a Biafran, if you are any indigenous population, call for referendum to decide whether you want to still belong to that country that is killing you. Otherwise, there won't be any end to these killings. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for making that very brief. Thank you very much. But if I may ask you a question, David.
Yes.
Because you are saying that if we have your suggestion, then there would be less of the killings. And my question goes that, or is it a question or a statement? I think it's a matter of impunity, like Inibe Effiong has been saying repeatedly. So when we have people in power, whether this person is from your region or not, there is that urge to oppress the person underneath. So I don't think that when there is a breakoff and you are a separate entity, that all of a sudden the mentality of people in position of power will change. I don't think so. I don't think that we will suddenly. Can you hold on? I don't think we will suddenly become better people if we are segregated into segments. All right. So I think we should tackle the issue, and like someone said that I don't know exactly how he put it, that we are not good people. So we should work on our morals our morals. We should work on what we stand for, because this is not a matter of when. Okay, just go on.
Okay, let me tell you one clear example that separation will solve this whole issue, whole lot of problems. Now,
in one minute, because you exhausted
yes.
your 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you. We have a lot of diversity in Nigeria that are brought together. That is one problem. And who are dominating the political space now is different. The Fulanis are dominating. So their policies will not favor you, who is not a Fulani man. And they cannot act when a Fulani man kills you. But if you are in your own space as a nation, if an Igbo man kills an Igbo man, he will be prosecuted. Now, who will prosecute that policeman that killed this lady? You find out that it is the DPO of that police station will be a Fulani man. And if it is a Fulani man that kills him in your own country, in your own state, who will prosecute the Fulani man where a Fulani man is in charge? It's not possible.
Okay, so
But
what you are saying now is sounding to me like state policing. Are you in support of state policing?
It's not, I mean, in support of state policing, but you have to disintegrate Nigeria first before you talk about this state policing. For it to work, you have to disintegrate Nigeria.
Okay,
Sorry,
okay.
Mr. David. Sorry, Mr. David. I'm not.
If I can come in, Lawyer Inube, thank you very much.
Yes.
I dare it for creating, for helping to co-host this space. You see, the problem with some of you who are advocating for a disintegration of Nigeria. I mean, I've never been against, I've never been for or against. I've always been in the middle. For me, that's always been whatever is good for Nigeria. Let us do it. Let us do this. But the problem is not with the tribe. You see, the tribalistic tendencies of a lot of Nigerians, including me that I'm even talking, is one of the major problems that is wrong with us as a country. I have traveled to over several African countries in the last 2 years. There are so many tribes in these countries. You don't hear of this sort of issues as the sort we have in Nigeria today, and there's a reason for that.
Yes.
Hold on, Mr. David. There's a reason.
The reason is that they are not Nigerians.
Hold on, Mr. David. There's a reason for that, and that's because we have not. And this is the place I will agree with you, that we have not defined what it means to be a Nigerian for a lot of us, and so several of us growing up do not understand what it means to be a Nigerian. We can connect with our music, we can connect with our food, we can connect with maybe our resilience, the fact that we are suffering and smiling, but then there is no cohesive how do I say it, foundation that has defined our Nigerianness. And so that's why at the bottom of it all, instead of blaming the government, instead of blaming the people in power, we'll come back and say it's because he's a Fulani man, that's why this is happening. It's because he's an Igbo man, that's why this is happening. If an Igbo man was there, this would not happen. This same mentality that the people in the north had towards Buhari, in 2015, and said, well, if our own person is there, Boko Haram will not happen. And so the question we now ask is that Boko Haram, Buhari has now become president for the last 7 years. Insurgency have even become worse. Even the people in Buhari state who voted for him, they are the ones suffering the larger part of the insurgency for the last 7 years. The same people who said, oh, if our own brother goes there, things will become better for us. The same thing you're saying now. I want you to listen carefully to me.
I am not talking about my brother going inside there. That's not what I'm talking about.
Hold on. If our own brother goes there, this is going to become better for us. The insecurity will reduce. It's because our own brother, who was Jonathan, is not there. That's why these things are happening. I will ask you a question.
Yeah, I'm not talking about that.
Please, let's not scream. And Mr. David, could you please allow Rinu to speak? And then you can respond. Although I don't want to allow you to I won't allow you to respond anymore because we are drifting away from the topic of discussion. So Rinu, please round up, and then we move to the next person.
Yes, thank you very much. I was about rounding up, and that's the question I was asking Mr. David. I have also dealt a lot with police brutality cases, extrajudicial killings, extortions on a daily basis, and this is backed up with statistics and facts and reports. For the last, I think, since September 2021, that we started gathering the data on extortions, on extrajudicial killings, arbitrary arrest, torture, harassment, profiling. I can go on and on. The organization I'm directing the project, Connect Up, has documented over 1,000 cases, and those are the only cases that they report to you on Twitter, they report to you on Instagram, they tag Savivino and all of that. Now consider the number of cases that we haven't been able to know about, or the one that the media doesn't get hold of. And when we try to track these cases, we also track with police officers' name. Okay, let us now go with Mr. David's how do I say it? Mr. David's opinion, or I have this word but I've forgotten about it. Let us go with his own opinion and say, what are the names of the police officers? Who are the ones in charge of the DPOs that are in charge of these stations, the assistant superintendents who are in charge, say the officer in charge of the case. I've forgotten what they used to call them. The DPO, the commissioner of police of that state, as of that moment, the area commanders, so that we can document these names properly. If we don't have a government who has the political will to deal with police brutality now, in the future, I pray that Nigerians, where our suffering will get to us to the extent that we'll begin to vote in people who care about us. And then these people who are committing these crimes, and this is the important part, they're not ghosts. They're not fictitious characters. These people have names, they have identities, they have families, they have posts. If we're able to conclusively gather this data, we can always pursue these cases when we have people who care about Nigerians. And that's what we're doing at Connect Up. You find out that many of the criminals in police uniform, many of the murderers that the Nigerian government is employing to come and protect us, to come and protect our lives and properties, the people who are supposed to protect us that are actually killing us, most of them are actually from our tribes. They're actually from our local government. They actually grew up with us, They actually know you very well. But many of these cases where we try to extrapolate and say, maybe it's because of somebody, the person from the southeast, the person from the north. I'm going to tell you from data that we have, many of these guys are actually from our own states. The problem, is not tribe. You see, Nigerians have gotten lax to the extent that when issues happen to us, instead of us to direct the actual cause of the matter to the appropriate authorities, we begin to blame ourselves. If we don't blame ourselves, then we start saying, "Oh God, let this happen." Without passing on the responsibility to God, or we pass on the responsibility to ourselves, rather than passing the responsibility to the government. The problem with the Nigerian police institution, somebody has said this, I didn't want to come up on the speaker spaces. It's not about reforms. Reforms are not clearly going to work. The problem is with the body language of the government that we have today, where our
So
political
what is
holders,
the solution?
our lawmakers are the lawbreakers. The people that are saying don't pass one way, they are the one passing one way. The people that are saying, police should not do this, they are part of them. The first lady was using DSS to harass a citizen. We can go on and on about how the Nigerian political elites does not have the political will to end police brutality, because they benefit from the indignity, they benefit from the suppression of the average Nigerian citizenry. And that's where we need to start. Until we start from these
David, could
average
you please mute your
lawmakers,
mic? David, mute your mic, please.
until we start from these average lawmakers, from the people we have in government, then we are never going to have police reform. So I just wanted to make that point. When people come and say it's about the Fulani, it's about the outside, it's about the Igbos, it's about the Yoruba. The Yoruba land have one of the highest rates of police extortions and extrajudicial killing ourselves. It's our own police officers who are extorting us, who are harassing us, our own tribesmen. Do you understand? The problem is not directing the blame to tribes. The problem, I would like, there's this movie, is it October 1st or something? We should go and watch that movie about how a Yoruba man killed that woman, and then they transferred the blame to an Hausa man or to the Igbo man. This thing have always been happening in the past, and that's the point I'm always trying to make, where we try to shift blame and say it's because he's not from my tribe. It's not your tribe that is the problem. It's not another person's tribe that is the problem. It is criminality and the body language of the Nigerian political class that is the problem.
30
Thank you.
seconds.
I'm
30
so sorry
seconds.
for interrupting.
All
Thank you,
right.
Renu.
Thank you, Renu,
Ida,
for...
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Proceed.
Okay, so if I could just, sorry that my network has been a bit problematic. 2 points. The speaker before the last one made an observation. That is before, I'm not referring to Renu, the speaker before David. He made a point that, I'm not sure if it's the one, but someone made a point about the fact that under the compulsory treatment and care for victims of gunshot acts of 2017 that I cited, that hospitals are required to report cases of people who are brought in with gunshots within 2 hours. That is actually true. He went ahead to say that the hospital now has the choice either to accept the victim for treatment or report to the police. That is again not that part of the statement. I totally disagree with it. That is not what the act says. The essence of that act is to take away any discretion that the hospital has. So by implication, the moment a victim is brought, the hospital has the duty to treat that person. You cannot tell me that there is no police facility within 2 hours in any state of Nigeria. There is no police post within 2 hours, a distance of 2 hours. I don't think that is possible. There are police stations spread across everywhere in the country. So no hospital has an excuse. In any event, the Nigerian Medical Association is in support of this act. They have not said that. Nobody has given one example where a victim of gunshot was taken to the hospital and the hospital could not locate a police station within 2 hours, or they could not get the number of a police station or a police officer or the PPRO to make a complaint. So let us not make any excuse for any medical facility that refuses to treat victims. Now, I'm sorry I have to be personal about what David said, which my friend Reno has debunked effectively. And I said sorry because I have to be personal about it. I spent 1 month in prison, in a Nigerian prison, even when I did not commit any offense, even when I had not done anything. The people who did that, the conspiracy to send me to prison, were done by my people. I'm telling you, the people who played a role in my spending 1 month in prison, they are not Northerners, they are not Hausas, they are not Yorubas, right? They are not Igbos. They are my brothers and sisters from Akwa Ibom. They are my people from my state, from the governor to the chief judge to every single person that played a role. I could call them my people. The lawyers in Nigeria who came out against me when I was in detention, 80 to 90% of them are my people. They are my people. They are the lawyers who were actively in my defense. They are not Akwa Ibomites. They are not Akwa Ibomites. Those who lied against me, they are my people. Those who went to the media to speak for me in the most effective way, they are not related to me. They are not even from my state. So I will never be part of a conversation to tribalize injustice, because I have been a victim of injustice. The problem in this country is that people in power have learned how to abuse power without consequences. If it was about tribe, I should never have spent the day in prison, because I had not done anything. I had not done anything. I appear before judges all over the country. No judge has ever accused me of anything. Insolence. It had to take my state for that to happen. I've had matters involving a couple of governors in Nigeria. It took a case that involved my own state governor for me to go to prison. My governor is not the only governor in the country that I have a case or that sue somebody and I'm defending. It's not the only one, but it has to be related to my own state. I'm being personal because I'm speaking from experience. Let us not bring tribalism to injustice. And in any event, this lady that died, the officer who shot her, right, is from somewhere in Adamawa, Michika. It had nothing to do with tribe. The DPO of that station, when I met him, immediately he saw me. Oh, my brother from the Niger Delta. He became, I said, what is this one talking about? So you can see the point I'm making. The officer the who shot Dambre, right, is from Adamawa. The victim, most likely Yoruba, right? The DPO of the station, Niger Delta, from the way he tried to patronize me. So you can see the confluence of all tribes. This had nothing to do with tribalism. She was not targeted because she's Yoruba. So in finding solution to police brutality, we will be doing ourselves a great disservice to bring tribe into it. And I do not believe, sorry, sir, I don't want us to derail this conversation, but if we have to host another space, I'm willing to debate with you that the solution to the problem is not dividing the country. Because if you are telling me that if you divide Nigeria, police brutality will end, I will disagree with you. And like Rinu said, please go to the states. The majority, I don't know about Lagos, but across other states, majority of police officers in those states are indigenous of those states. They're indigenous of those states. When I was in prison in Akwa Ibom for 1 month, majority of the victims that have been framed up and put in prison in my state, those who did that, they are policemen from Akwa Ibom. They are not Northerners. They are not Yorubas. The same thing applies across other states. Even in Lagos State where I live, it is the same thing. Let us not bring tribalism into this issue. The issue is that we have a country that laws are not working. We have a country that injustice has become the order of the day. So there is no example that in the Southeast, the Igbos, their leaders are attending to police brutality better than the leaders in the West are attending to it. You cannot cite one example. We have a system that has failed. Let us address that system. Let us not bring the politics of division into the argument. I personally don't buy it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inibe, for that submission. So I'm not going to add anything to that. I'm going to invite Augustine to speak, and then the next person will be Lazy X. So in that order, please unmute your mic and speak.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me, please?
Yes, we can. Proceed.
Yes. So before the first space crash, I was listening to the recording, and I heard Ben Olomo mentioned Kolade Johnson. Now, I was actually at that bar where all that situation happened. That was what even motivated me leaving the country in the first place. We're at the bar. I didn't know the guy that he was actually there in the bar. We were drinking, everybody was drinking, watching football in that bar. And we heard, "Blah!" You know what things Nigerians do when we hear that sound? Like, we all took to our heels. We all ran away, everybody ran away. We thought that it was actually robbers or something. Then, yeah, the normal Nigerian thing, when you run, you also reconverge. So we're all coming back, like, guy, everything happened, everything happened. And we saw blood. I think there were two, like, it was two shots. I think there were two sounds. So we saw blood. I never knew that very, very sensitive places in the body carry so much blood. I saw blood I've never seen in my life. It was flowing. That was when the angry mob came in and they were trying to actually. It all turned to a very, very big problem because the roads were shut down, serious fights, different group fighting, and that situation alone actually changed my life because I actually made a decision like I have to leave this country. I witnessed this thing firsthand and I was shocked. I still tell my family friends that are actually in Nigeria this story every time I try to motivate them to leave Nigeria. Nigeria is not a good place. The people in Nigeria are not actually good people. I'm not saying everybody now, but I know what I've actually witnessed in Nigeria. Now, coming to the police. Now, that police officer who actually shot Kolade Johnson, I don't know if he has been prosecuted, but he has not been. We don't know what. We don't actually have any recent information regarding that guy. Yet he actually shot that guy twice in the private parts, and he killed him. And in front of everybody. And to be honest with you, it was just God, because a lot of people would have died that day because he was trigger happy. He was just shooting to the crowd, and there were people with the guy when he shot, and he could have killed those ones too. So it is actually it's sad when you think about the Nigerian police. Even before that, I used to stay very close to Mangoro. There's a SARS office at that Mangoro Junction. You need to see how they constantly stop every youth. They stop you every day when I'm coming back from work from the island. You have to you know that if you cross 9 p.m., 10 p.m., you're going to be stopped by SARS from the only Petesi division. They're going to stop you and they're going to harass you. So I decided that I have to leave this country. Now, even after leaving the country, anytime I get there's this news that comes up about somebody is actually being killed, there's this fear I have in my heart, like, let it not be somebody I know, let it not be my family members. You feel this pain, this fear when this news, and you get to see this news every day. Every time you checking the news from where you are, and you're seeing this news everywhere, and you get this pain, this fear, you see this failing, failure in the system, and you're worried. And to be honest with you, I feel the police can be reformed if we have a president. Now, not a president who wants to serve himself or wants to serve a section of the nation. A president who wants to serve the people, who wants to serve the people. And I don't think we've actually gotten the type of president that wants to really serve the people, give the people total commitment, and say, okay, yes, I'm actually here to serve you, not to serve myself, not to serve my family, not to go on trips abroad continuously without caring what is happening, not to actually speak up when there's a problem, when there are killings. So we need to have a president who wants to serve the people and who wants to reform the police. Now, what I think, it's actually my own idea of reforming the police, which is, one, there has to be a background check for every police officer actually in the Nigerian police, a confirmed background check done by an independent organization. Now, that background check would actually screen out police officers who are not actually BSc holders and above. If you're not a BSc holder, you have to be moved to the army. It's not compulsory. You have to be moved to the army or you resign. If you're not a BSc holder, you have to be moved to the army or you resign. That's one. Two, those that are actually BSc holders need to go back to the training school to be retrained, and they have to be. The third one is to start recruitment from a private organization, not from the government. A private organization, either national or international. It can either be Recruitment Co. or Jobberman, or you can pick the international guys like Indeed and Read.co that can actually do a proper recruitment of people who are actually ready to serve the people. If you don't want to do it locally, pick an international organization, private international organization that are ready to actually do this recruitment. Start recruiting people that are actually BSc holders and above, people who can actually take in process, who can take in procedures before.
Augustine, please round up in 30 seconds. Thank you. Augustine, can you round up? Unmute yourself and round up, please.
Yes, sorry, I would round up now. Just my point is, first, if you're not mentally strong to stay in Nigeria, please just start packing your bags and leave. Find a process to leave, and you can come back when everything is actually settled. People not serving himself.
All
And
right,
and three,
all right, all right.
three. Sorry,
Mhm.
three is the last one. Is reforming the police is possible, is doable if we have a president that wants to serve the people. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah, hi, co-host. Before Augustine goes, I just wanted to add that the officer who can I go ahead? I just wanted to clarify something that Augustine asked.
All right.
Yeah, I just wanted to
One minute.
clarify that the officer who was involved in the extrajudicial killing of Kolade Johnson was actually sentenced to life imprisonment recently. This last 3 months, I think in September 2022. He was just sentenced 3 months ago, and that was a very landmark case because then he also proves that a lot of organizations who have been working behind it were actually happy that this could happen. So that was good news. Although I mean, it took a long time, but then can finally say this case justice was gotten. And then for also to add to lawyer Inibe case, when you look at the issue that happened at the Lekki toll gate as well, not just Lekki toll gate, but then almost all over Nigeria, something that happened at the Lekki toll gate also happened all over Nigeria. You discover that it was our own governors, who ordered soldiers and police officers to shoot at us while they sat down and watched in Lagos State. I'm a Lagosian. Governor Sawolu ordered the asked the soldiers to come to Lekki toll gate and start to shoot at peaceful protesters. Though in River State it also happened. I could go on and on about several places that it happened. But then when you look at the north, what happened? You couldn't hear of this kind of shootings happening in the north. So he also corroborates what he says, that it's our own tribes people that are doing us. Injustice should not be tribalized, just as the lawyer said. Thank you.
All right, thank you for making that quick. We have, I'm going to read 4 people on the list. It's going to be Lazy X, Obioma, Mordecai, and Olomo of Devi. So please, I'm going to set a timer now. Just stick to the 2 to 3 minutes rule so that we can finish this space in time. Thank you. Lazy X, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, please proceed.
All right. The co-host, thank you for the opportunity given to me. I think I have to start by saying that, you see, not until we have human being as president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, somebody who understands, who knows, and understands that every Nigerian life matters. So until we have that, we all these spaces we're holding, we talk this, we talk that. So we will continue to say it. These killings has been going on. We react. At the end of the day, everybody goes to sleep, and the same thing continues. Now, I give you an example. What happened in 2009? There was this commissioner of police who was the commandant then. There was they did a recruitment. It was true sports recruitment. Now, when they did that recruitment, the man now screened the people that were sent from various states. When they were recruited and sent from various states, he now gave them, okay, what was the kind of interview he gave them at police college? They should read newspaper captions. You do believe that many of these people could not even read newspaper captions? The commissioner compiled the list of these people and sent it to Force Headquarters Abuja. You know what they wrote back in reply? That those people were sent to him to train, not to screen them. That's to tell you the kind of officers and men we have in the Nigeria police. That is one. I think with this killing that are going on, it is not, yes, the guy was involved in one that I think Renu corrected just now to say that he was sentenced. Yeah, he was sentenced, but we're looking beyond the direct culprit being sanctioned, but his supervisor, the people, including the commissioner of police, even the IG, because the president has the right to give the IG query for lacking in supervision. Until this happens, you see, it's not just when things happen, we arrest somebody, and what about his superior? This is a systemic failure, not just the individual himself. So let us just not talk about the issue whether the hospital accepted, but the thing is, the hospital, yeah, they failed in their responsibility, but should any Nigerian be shocked just because he failed to stop it? He failed to stop when they flag him to stop whatever happens. I don't have all the details, but the issue is when we have a president who is a human being, who knows that not only president, even governors, who know that the life of every Nigerian matters, we continue to beat about the bush or go around the circle, and the main issue remains. And as for the person that said the division, you divide the country into this, into that, for me, those are people should stop being brainwashed by those who believe that as soon as you divide the every community in Nigeria into segments, that the whole everywhere will be huru. They should just sit in that idea. Okay, now the man that spoke, I learned from his accent, I think he's from the southeast. The people in the leaders in the southeast, how far have they fared? So if you divide the southeast now to go as a region or as a country, whatever, now the people in the southeast, are they not the same people that will come as parading themselves as leaders? So how do you think that they will treat the people of the southeast? So we should stop, like I said, stop being brainwashed and face reality. When something happens, let us tackle it as it is and stop playing to the gallery. Sorry, I don't want to take more time. I rest my case and I yield the mic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was exactly 3 minutes, and like it has been re-echoed by everyone. Segregation is not what will solve the police brutality issue. So we should tackle the issue the way it is and forget about tribe and sentiment. So I'm going to call on Obioma to speak,
Good evening
and
once
then
again, everyone.
Modikai, and then
I think I just
Oluma.
want to address. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I just want to address the issue raised by if I'm correct, Shomide Samuel, about the issue of the act that Inebe referred to. I think in the Act there's nowhere that is referred to that a doctor, a medical doctor, must be the one to make a report to the police station. I just want to correct that notion because it was saying that he heard from somebody that is the medical doctor that must make a report. What the Act specifically provides for in Section 3.1 is that an hospital must make a report within 2 hours of commencing treatment. So in this instance, now we look at the formal law that's been in place, which hospitals have been using to deny victims of, gunshot treatment, is the Robbery and Special Firearms Act, if I'm correct with the name right now. What it actually says that is that hospitals, before they treat, they must get a clearance from a police. And I think that is what this new act is trying to correct. And so hospitals can actually go ahead and make treatments. And you can't tell me that when you are talking about hospitals, that is only the medical personnel that can go to the police station. They have security guards, they have cleaners who could go to the hospitals and say, okay, within this time, all they have to do is get a report from a medical personnel who actually check in the victims, and that solves the issue. And I feel that is the correct position, so that people that are here, that are medical doctors, will not be feeling, yes, I have to get a clearance, I have to go and make the report myself. That is not what they had to say. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing that up, because I also wanted to object to that, or probably ask a question. And then I wanted to ask, does the law really say that it must be a medical doctor that is making the report? And then the second thing I wanted to say was that, okay, yes, if it's supposed to be a medical doctor, what's the process of making the report? Does the doctor have to travel to the police station to do that? Because I feel these things can be done simultaneously. For example, a call can be put through to if it is the police officer or whatever, just to inform that, okay, we have a gunshot injury here, and then care is being given to this person that is being injured. The two things can happen at the same time. They are not exclusive of each other. So thank you for bringing that up, because I kind of missed it. Our next speaker will be Mordecai, and then Olomo of Debi, and then we have Zell. Please, Mordecai, unmute your mic and speak.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Hope you all are having a good day. Yeah, I want to first of all speak about the people who use the misfortune of others to drive political agendas. I think it's a very, very despicable thing to do. Somebody is killed, and then we're talking about it. How do we stop others from doing it? And then you now turn it to center it about the political agenda you are driving, which has nothing to do with it. It's a despicable thing, and people should not be doing that. That's one. And since I had the news of this woman's death, Mrs. Raheem, I have been trying to wrap my head around. I understand that there might be things that we have not heard, but I've been trying to wrap my head around how did we come to this conclusion? What from what is publicly available, and there was no provocation. I understand brutality case when people want to show power, show high-handedness. Most times there's usually a confrontation between them and the victim, like a police officer that wants to show how powerful he is, and this person is not respecting him the way, and then he goes boom and shoots, or people that. But then for this one, there was no provocation. You're just on the road doing normal stop and doing normal stops, routine stops, and then you just stop somebody and then you fire your gun into a car. Even if you felt the driver was not stopping, why are you not firing at the driver? Why are you firing at the passenger just sitting down? It doesn't make any sense to me, and I cannot understand why somebody would do that. And like I said earlier, I have seen cases of, okay, police officers, they don't like that they are being challenged. They don't like that people are not bowing down to them and worshiping them as they ought to. And then
Mordecai, let me come in. There is no justification for the police to kill the citizen because from what you are saying, you are kind of trying to understand, and that is a justification because, oh, the citizen disobeyed the police, so he or she deserves to die. And then when you say, why not shoot at the driver? Nobody's life is less important. So I just wanted to correct that. There is no
all right,
justification
you
for
would
the
have
police
allowed
killing.
me to finish before you come in. I am not trying to justify. I am trying to understand, because no matter how you say it, we cannot stay here and then shout about it. But if we don't understand why this thing is happening in the first place, then we
The
cannot find
understanding
solution.
is the justification.
No,
The understanding is
understanding
the
is.
justification
Let
in a
me say
way.
something. Let me say something. For instance, if I don't want this to become the center, come an argument or something, but you understand. For me, I am a lawyer. And then when I am having, if somebody does something, and no matter how despicable it is, I want to understand the motivation for the person doing it. Me understanding the motivation for the person doing it does not mean I am trying to justify the act. I am somebody who I have personally taken steps against. I have had confrontations with the police a number of times. A number of times the police have pointed gun at me and threatened to shoot me. So I am not going to justify something that despicable. But then I want to bring up something. I have been to many police formations, as much as the AIG's offices, the IG's offices, and then the top police formations. You see the kind of police officers that handle guns. Many of them, many times, are high on drugs. Many of them are high on substances. They don't look normal. They even look worse than the criminals they are supposed to be on the street trying to fight. And then we have this kind of people who are in a very, very terrible mental state. We don't talk about those ones because we assume that these people are supposed to, okay, they are police officers, so they should. But then a lot of them are in a mental state that makes them unfit to even do this job they are doing. And then that is not looked at, because once they can come there, they can give them guns, they can drive to the road, they can stop on the road, and they can do anything. We just allow them to stay on the road. And for me, I think we need to start asking the police to look at the mental well-being of the people they are sending on the road. You cannot be sending people who are drunk to come and stay on the road with guns where people are passing, and you expect that things like this are not going to happen. You are not going to, the same way I am not supposed to drive if I am drunk. Same way a police officer, his mental state should be at the best state. I am saying this because we in doing our jobs, we go to top police formations, and then we see these people working closely with the high and mighty in the police force. You know that these people are not in a good state. Mentally, they are not fit to carry guns and be on the road. And we keep sending them to the road. If we, as much as we are talking about the aspect of, okay, of police brutality, and then them coming out to show power, to try to exercise powers to show that they are all strong and almighty, and then do whatever they like, we should also look at the people who don't have that mental fitness to also carry the guns, because like I said, I don't understand why this happened. And for me, I think,
please summarize in 30 seconds. Thank you.
All right. I think this is something that we should also look into, and something that we should talk about. And again, I'll say it, no form of police brutality is justified. I have spoken about people who many times, I've even criticized a number of my colleagues who carry the least civil issues that they should take to court and then turn it to a police case. I speak against it, and then but I am not trying to justify any form of police brutality. I don't even support police getting involved in anything that is supposed to be a civil case. With that said, I think I'll yield back. Thank you.
Thank you for your very nice submission. Olomo of Debi, you went to go and drag me. The mic is yours. please unmute yourself and and speak. After that, we will have Zell.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. I didn't drag you, I just had to express my intentions, but yeah, thank you very much. And I'd like to use the opportunity to also thank Rini for everything she does when it comes to police reform, fighting for people in our society. We appreciate you. We see all the good work you do. Thank you, Rini, for that. But yeah, coming back to the Justice for Bolanle Rahim today, I spoke earlier on before the earlier space crash itself. I think one of the bottom lines we need to understand that is how long are we going to keep on saying justice for this person? Who's the next victim? And we need to sit down and understand that what is the way forward ourselves in our society. In Nigeria today, the police can get you arrested for flimsy reasons. You can be locked up behind bars for even having a laptop in your possession or even using an iPhone, which according to a rogue police officer could mean that you're an internet fraudster, which you know is Yahoo Yahoo in our society. And of course, on most occasions, it simply means the person who has been caught had refused to grace the palm of a police officer. Because you all know how our society works. Once they say, oh, maybe you have this laptop, just, oh, God, baby, just take 10K. That have been end of story. So if you refuse to do that, obviously they will find so many things to try to jail you or so many flimsy reasons to put you behind bars in our society. And the bottom line is you could also be thrown in jails for many years without trial or even access to lawyers or your family members. If you remember the case of Abakari that arrested someone all because he was paid by Hush Puppy. I mean, this tells you how everything has gone wrong in our society. Hush Puppy lives in Dubai. He paid Abakari just go and arrest somebody, which is his business partner, whoever, in a normal country. And Abakari just went to arrest this person, put him in prison, and then do the video, recorded this person in prison to send to Hush Puppy that job done. This kind of tells you how everything has gone wrong. And I'm glad that someone like Abakari is also in prison today himself. So the bottom line is the NPF, which is Nigerian Police Force, is very infamous for all human rights abuses in our society, and that's why I said earlier on that we have 54 countries in Africa. Go and check the WISP index today, which is the World Internal Security Police Index. Will tell you that Nigeria's police force is number 54 in Africa out of the 54 countries we have in Africa. And apart from ending police brutality, we also need many other areas in the reforms in our society, not just even police brutality. A lot of reforms need to be understand to move this Nigerian police force forward because maybe we like it or not, we have to get it right. The Nigerian police force is heavily underfunded. Police officers are not entitled to leave allowance. Even their major salaries are not paid on time. Police officers work in poor, unfit conditions, and of course, we all know they live in neglected and poorly maintained barracks. The last time I saw police barracks couple of years, I mean, I asked myself, how do people even live in this kind of environment? I mean, it brings it beyond, to ask questions. You see some police officers' uniforms, the shoes they're wearing. You ask yourself, how did you leave a police station to come on the road with this kind of outfit? It tells you that all is not well in us in with the Nigerian police force. And of course, these are just some factors coupled with impunity and a lack of accountability and transparency that indeed transform the police force, which makes them very hated and ineffective institutions in our society. I mean, as I'm talking to today, the Nigerian police officer considers themselves above the law. That's just what it is. That's why a police officer will tell you, park, park. I will shoot you, nothing will happen. Because you know that nothing will happen. I'm glad that we've had a conviction for Colady Johnson, but so many other ones have not been no justice for them. The likes of Kazim Tiami, the Remo Stars footballer, who was shot dead by a police officer, Tine Zikwe, Oga Jumbo, the civil defense officer. No justice for their family. How do you wake up and expect those family to say that I'm a proud Nigerian? It's impossible. We can't move forward until justice has been served for those kind of family. There's no way you kill my family member, God forbid, or my friend, my sibling, and you expect me to be saying, "Oh, I'm proud to be a Nigerian." When I know justice has not been served, when I know the killers, of whoever's killed them are walking on the street for free without no justice. We also what happened with George Foreman, the big protest in America. The police officer Derek Elwin, who killed George Foreman, is in prison today, serving over 22 years to lifetime in prison today. This is what we need. All this kind of stuff will hold other police officers accountable. But when the police officer is telling us, "Oh, I will shoot you, nothing will happen," and people are killed, there's no justice, other police officers will also believe they are above the law. It's just that simple. A lot of the young police officers today think they're above the law. They feel that they're semi-gods to the poor that they are supposed to protect. And at the same time, I mean, the funny part, they even also fail to understand that they're also puppets in the hands of politicians and we're to individuals. Police officers are also victims of the broken system in our society. Look at the lifestyle they live in. Look at their children. Look at their wives. A normal Nigerian should not be living in police barracks. I mean, the last time I went to police barracks, I just drove past there. I asked myself, how do people eat in this kind of environment? I didn't understand it. I don't know, maybe because obviously some of us live in a different world or something. I asked myself, how do these police officers and their family, their children eat in this kind of environment? I mean, I couldn't even, just walking past the place, I was actually felt sad for them. The way they put their clothes outside, like it's just like, no, things have to get better. So you put yourself thinking, is this part of the problem, and these people are desperate? I mean, there was a gentleman that was killed recently for
Summarize
on the
your
bike
thoughts.
for refusing. I can I sorry.
Summarize your thoughts.
Yeah. I'll be done quickly. So just a lot of things have to get better. I believe that what we need is some police reforms. One of the police reforms, I believe, establishing clear organization policies on the use of force in our society. I think this may sound obvious, but political leaders, organizations need to clearly state and reiterate limitations on the use of force, especially given the influence of police leaders have on ordinary citizens in our society. So a police officer knows that when you're going out there, you have to limit your use of force. Second, I think an effective monitoring of police use of force will also be important. I think police organizations need to track and measure use of force. Police should be required to submit the use of force reports for all serious incidents and develop what you call a standard data in official records. I mean, it happens in this part of the world I live in. So no matter where it is, even if you hit somebody, a car, wherever it is, you have to submit it. So all these serious incidents, we look back into it, and at the end of the day, we get it right. And thirdly, I'd like to talk about training in violence reduction. I also believe that police officers that resort to violence often receive minimum and classroom-based training. I mean, look at what happened with our late sister Bolani Rahim. If that police officer was well trained, he would have understood how. To understand that there's violence in reduction. Because at the end of the day, I mean, what's it called? A role play based training, for example, is much more realistic and can, of course, better prepare officers to use what you call a sort of a de-escalation strategies effectively. So it doesn't matter because some of the people that have been killed by police brutality, you heard, is because of arguments. But a police officer need to understand that they need to have to be able to have to have strategies effectively to understand as a police officer, you need to know how to handle even arguments and how to stop us. So I believe training in violence reduction will help. Um, Also, police officers need to understand that, shooting is not the way. I mean, shooting means you're taking someone's life. And of course, if any police officer kills somebody, they have to face the wrath of the law in our society. A police officer is not a court. You have no right to take someone's life. It's just that simple. Because if you're given a gun, doesn't give you a right to take someone's life. And any police officer who kills someone in our society should face the death penalty and the wrath of law in our society. Are you the mic for now? Thank you.
All right, thank you, Oluomo. Although you violated our time, the rule. Okay, Rino, I will allow you to contribute, but before then, let's have Zell. Zell, are you still with us?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I'm from Ethiopia originally. I'm in the US now. And the problems that you talk about are like widespread, like in Ethiopia. I mean, there isn't as much of police killings, but there is like abuse. and in many other countries too, in Africa and in the Caribbean. So what I'm thinking is, it's good to train the police or whatever, but they are like, they grew up within our society. What is wrong within our society? It could be America. The same kind of problem exists here too. The previous speaker mentioned that the police officer who killed a person was put in jail, but there's still a lot of police abuse. I mean, it's not like there's no police abuse in the US either. So I am thinking like we as communities could change how children are brought up to start with, how the police officers he talked about their conditions of life, how that can be improved. We can't always wait on our governments to do something. We can actually do a lot, especially with technology now. See how we're together here talking about it. We can change it into action. We can change it into action. There are platforms where we could organize for anything. It doesn't have to be political, but if we organize school age students in sports, music, civic activities, and the same thing with neighborhoods, wherever the police are living, to improve their neighborhoods, maybe what they could do, providing them with crowd investments so that their wives may be engaged in some kind of business so that their lives are good, enhanced the quality of life, and they are not looking at people as enemies, but are as a friend in their lives getting better. So what I wanted to suggest to the group is, I know today's subject is not that, but if we could consider that we can be the solution. I put up on your jumbotron, I tried to ask you by DM in Behe, and the co-host is not open to me to DM, so I didn't DM you. If I could put it on the jumbotron, so I just went ahead and put it up. If you want, you can keep it or erase it. So what I'm suggesting is to stop the killings and kidnappings and all other violence things. Maybe we need to go like a different route by providing alternate positive communities, and for that we can use technology. We have actually like a lot of different technology around which people can gather in whatever their interest is, so that way we move people away from violence and into an enhanced good quality of life. So this is what I wanted to suggest. I really appreciate having the opportunity to speak. I go to different African places because I find that our problems are not isolated to one country. They are similar, and we can all together maybe solve them. Is my submission. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, Zell. We are happy to have you and to have your contribution. I will invite Lam as the next speaker. Do we still have him here? No. Okay, so let's have PEC concept. That's Will E.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the area of this whole police brutality thing, I've come to understand that, look, until we have a leader with a willpower to tackle this issue head on, we're just going to continue in this circle for only God knows how long. As the question in the space says, who is next? So we don't know who is next. So if after all that happened in ENDSARS, the government hasn't learned any lesson, there was no, there's no tangible effort that we could see, tending towards police reformation, then there's a problem. That's the thing. So I just hope that someday we would have someone who will be there as a head, as a president, that would inspire, that would inspire every other person.
Sorry, I had to mute everyone. Someone was interrupting. Will, you can continue.
Yeah, like I said, until we have, the kind of a leader that would inspire every other person, every other leader, along the line, talking about the senators, the governors, the House of Representatives and all that, to push and come up with bills that would help in this police reform. Until we do that, I don't know how long we'll continue with this. It's really, really pathetic. The recruitment system is faulty. The training is faulty. The kind of salaries and allowance they receive is nothing to it's nothing to take home to talk about. Like, it's just rubbish. You talk of life insurance and everything they are supposed to get if anything happens to them, nothing. So these are like damaged people, right? So these are the kind of people we put on our streets and give them AK-47, a warfare weapon. And you can have somebody who is at that level of should I say, mentality, and you expect them to behave well. So it's a really, really big issue, and it's scary. It's really, really scary. So it's hard for you to even stand for your right or fight for your right when being confronted by police, especially when they are wielding a gun, because you don't even know the next thing you will say to them, and then bam, they just pull the trigger. So it's like, it's just what it is. So I would just conclude by saying that we as citizens, we won't stop talking. We should never stop talking. And those of us who have like contacts, talking about phone numbers or email addresses, especially like email addresses. At least if we can't get their phone numbers, we should have their email addresses of our representatives, our senators and all that. We need to start bombarding them with messages. We need to start bombarding them with emails. The ones we can call, we call, and let them know that, look, until they do something as regards how we recruit those who police our society, then people are going to continue to die needlessly. Okay, so I land my plane there. I just feel that a lot needs to be done, and the right leader being there would really be a way to start the whole thing. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we've had a lot of people contribute to this discussion about the unfortunate murder of Omobolanle. We are going to close this space in 9 minutes. So I will encourage the next set of speakers. I will call on to please stick to 2 to 3 minutes so we can finish in time. Thank you. So let's have Okeagu. Please, 2 minutes. Or if he's not ready, we have Jayem.
I'm ready. I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Can you
can hear
hear
you.
me?
2 minutes, please.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. 2 minutes.
Yeah, all right. It's such an unfortunate situation that the Ajiwe police station, which is around the area where Bolanda was shot and killed on Christmas Day, is my neighborhood. The police in that station is gained notoriety for stopping people, and I think the police command in Nigeria has abolished stop and search. And what they do is that they come and hide in a very dark place in the night. I was a victim. It's just that God saved me that day they didn't shoot me. It's a terrible thing now. We have to. I think the government or the formation has to, think about how to educate these policemen and let them know that they are living within the civil society. It's so unfortunate what to experience on their hands. And I'm not particularly a young man to say that, because they are looking for Yahoo guys. You know. What they do to us here is terrible. And nobody's talking. Thank you. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me? I'm
Yes,
done.
I can hear you. You have 39 seconds.
I'm done. I'm done. It's okay. I just say it's unfortunate to what happened to that young lawyer and the family. I just imagine what the kid who grew up looking like when she found out that her mother was shot and gunned down in her presence, on a Christmas day. It's such a terrible situation. My heart goes out to the family.
All right, thank you. It's really, really an unfortunate situation. Daniel, before you go, please allow Lam to speak. Lam was here before. So Lam, could you proceed and mute your mic? If
Okay,
you're
thank you.
okay, please mute your mic.
Okay, thank you. So I have a question for those in the house, for the lawyers in the house, because I am pretty much not that much. I'm not a lawyer, and I don't really know much about the law, but we've always heard of the concept of class action lawsuits. And for me, I've always wondered in the last few years why we haven't had such in Nigeria, especially when it comes to the Nigerian police. Like, I've looked at this, I don't know the law, but I've looked at the constitution, especially where it comes to fundamental rights of Nigerians. And it's section 33 and 34 states clearly, and I'll probably summarize here, that everyone has a right to life, except in the execution of a sentence of a court or in respect to a criminal offense. And the only time when the Nigerian institution has the right to take a person's life is um in the defense of people from violence, to prevent unlawful escape, or to suppress a riot. And the next section 34 of the Constitution also says that we every individual is entitled to respect for dignity of the person. So, and section 34A says that no person shall be subject to torture or to inhumane or degrading treatment. So we've had so many stories like this, unfortunate shooting, and my condolences to the family. What are the lawyers in the house doing? The Bar Association, what are they doing about bringing out these people, compiling a list with evidence and suing the Nigerian police all the way to the Supreme Court? Let us know if our constitution is worth anything, because we can't say we are a country that has a constitution. Most of us live in sinner climes. We know we have freedom of speech. We know we have freedom of this view. But in Nigeria, do we really have freedom to the right to life? That's the first thing. It's if we have the right to life, then let us find out from our judicial system if we can enforce it, and if people that have had their rights to life violated, if they can be compensated. Because we all know the way to clean up anything is for there to be consequence. And when you say, oh, only the police officer, I know I've listened to several people say, oh, this particular police officer or this particular, but we all know it is an entire system, and it is not
Okay,
just the.
now I will have to interrupt. Sorry, because we are running out of time. So we have heard your point. If it's possible to sue these police officers, I don't know if Inibe Effiong is listening to all.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, could you please respond to them?
Quickly, if you look at Section 46 of the Constitution, you would see the right of access to court and the procedure for enforcement of fundamental rights. We have a law called the Fundamental Right Enforcement Procedure Rules of 2009 that prescribes the mode of enforcement of fundamental rights. Interestingly, under that rules, the legal concept of local standard, which requires that before you can bring a lawsuit as a person, you must disclose that you have interest and that interest have been directly affected. That is the circumstance under which you can sue. Otherwise, you would be deemed a meddlesome interloper or a busybody by the court. That concept, that common law concept of local standard, is not applicable to fundamental rights. So, for example, if I am assaulted, another person can go to court to enforce my rights on my behalf. The issue, however, is that even when the Constitution has allowed and given the rights to Nigerians to enforce their rights and even the rights of others, we still have some jurisprudential issues, challenges. One of which, in fact, for me, the most problematic is Section 84 of a law called the Sheriff and Civil Process Act, which requires that you must obtain the consent of the Attorney General of the Federation or an of a state, depending on whether you have judgment against the federal or state government, before you can enforce monetary judgment against the government. So as I speak to you, I have a couple of judgments I have obtained against the police for various people across the country in monetary compensation. I've not been able to enforce any of them against the police. And I can tell you for free that 80 to 90% of monetary compensation that Nigerian courts award to victims of police brutality and citizens whose rights are violated by the police, they have not been able to enforce them. If there is any lawyer here, that lawyer will confirm to you that statistics I'm even giving may be a very moderate figure, figure, a very moderate one. So we have a problem. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
the mute is on.
Yeah.
So it's okay now.
So I'm saying that we have a problem, and that problem there is a problem of law. Part of the reason why we have this impunity, right, is that you cannot enforce monetary judgment against the police. So let's say that the husband of Bolanle decides to go to court now to sue the Nigerian police and claims 200 million. If the court awards that 200 million, the chances of enforcing that judgment and getting that money is very slim. Why? Because of this demonic and very draconian law called the Sheriff and Civil Process Act, which is a relic of military dictatorship. Unfortunately, our Supreme Court says nothing is wrong with that law. How do you have judgment against the government and you need the consent of the same government to enforce it? Of course, there have been recent judicial interventions to reduce the effect of that law, where the Court of Appeal has said in the case of Interstellar and CBN that because of TSA and all that, the CBN cannot be deemed to be a public officer, and as such, judgment can, where the money is with CBN, it can be enforced without the. But I can tell you, without the consent of the authority, but I can tell you that in practice, that authorities that conflict with this recent intervention by some liberal judges who are trying to water down the harshness of that act. Ask lawyers around how many lawyers in Nigeria have been able to enforce monetary judgment against the police. I'm not sure it's up to 10%. I'm not sure. I am telling you my experience. I have judgment against the Nigerian police for several people that have not been able to enforce. So that is a problem that has to be addressed through legislation. It does not appear that the National Assembly has the political will to address that. The other issue is that within the policing system, the supervisory process is useless. I say that with all sense of responsibility. It's useless in the sense that you could have a constable disobey the directive of an ASP, right? You can have an assistant, a commissioner of police give an order and say release this person. Immediately you have given that order, you go to the DPO. Lawyers are here, they are listening to me. You go to the IPO who is handling the matter. The IPO will find a way to circumvent what another that the commissioner of police has just given. This is an experience I had in Lagos here a week ago, right? A week ago at Ogodu police station, where the police took over the power, assumed the power to determine custody. Took the child from the father and forcefully handed over to the mother. And then I met with the area commander
very surprisingly, very straightforward. The man was very vehement that they don't have the power, they don't have the jurisdiction to do that, they had no rights to do that. He was shouting at them. He gave another, he called the DPO in my presence, and ordered the woman to, release that and queried her, why will she do that? Guess what? As I left the area commander's office and went to the DPO's office, she was circumventing what the area commander had said. So you have a system that is completely broken. Completely, even the so-called hierarchy of command in the police is almost non-existent. That is why when they tell you that nothing will happen, they are not just telling you that you can go to court and will disobey court order. They are telling you that even within their hierarchy, you can have the IG. We have seen situations where even the IG will give an order, and that order will be circumvented by the rank and file. You can't have that in the military. That is how disorganized, that is how broken the police is. That is how terrible the police is. So you have a situation where the police that you deal with on a day-to-day basis, they work in a manner that they don't necessarily follow what their superiors say. So it is that bad. If you look at this space, you will see the tweet that I shared involving one Kubiad Isaac. Please, I'm pleading with us to help me also share that tweet. This is the gentleman, right, who was murdered in August last year. What happened? He was sitting at a joint, a fresh graduate of architecture, working for a private security firm. Decent guy, not involved in any criminal activity. The policeman just came, out of personal beef, personal grievance, came with, an ASP, swooped into the place, carried the young man, took him to the station. No documentation, no, his case was not incidented, his name was not recorded, put him in the cell. In the night, he came back, remove him from the cell, because he was the most superior at that time. Remove him from the cell, took him outside, used machete, cut this young man to pieces. He butchered him. I'm not telling you here, say, I witnessed the autopsy. For the first time in my life, I had to see what autopsy looks like. I have never been more terrified to see a human body being cut into pieces like whatever. I'm not telling you here, so I have the pictures showing the machete cuts. The police officers on duty gave evidence of how he took this guy, this young man out of this cell. Other officers gave evidence of how he tortured him. The pathologists confirmed, the government pathologists confirmed that he died of extrajudicial murder, that he was murdered. The pictures are there. The frame of allegation that they put against this guy, the officers in charge of this, all evidence, all witnesses. I've never seen a case with a stronger evidence. Everybody gave clear testimony that the killing of this young man was unjustifiable. Guess what? The police concluded investigation, recommended him for prosecution. The young man went and wrote a petition to force headquarters, claiming that the investigation was not fair. Right? That the victim was a cultist, stupid, baseless allegation, As I speak to you, since August, the officer is not on trial. He has not been dismissed. He was transferred from Akwa Ibom Command to Abuja, where he was detained. Now we don't even know whether he's still in custody or not. We are now hearing that they are trying to transfer him to another place. This is the only son of the parents. The father who was ill when this shock happened, he was just buried a few weeks ago. So this is the kind of country. How do you tell me that this country will ever move forward when the blood of the innocents is not avenged? There is so much injustice in Nigeria. There is so much injustice, and this is what is happening. The reason why we are talking about Bolanle today is that somehow she's a legal practitioner, so she already had that status. A lot of people have come out to speak for her. Her case has gained public traction. But guess what? I told us I was in the prison for 1 month. I can tell you there are many people that the police has put in prison that their family are not aware of. I'm not telling you here, sir. I'm telling you people that I met in prison that nobody outside knows that they are there, and it's police that took them there. So this is how horrible the country and the system is. So if we are going to reform the police, I don't know how we are going to do it, but I have said it before. It is only the president of Nigeria that can reform the police. And for that president to be able to reform the police, he must believe in reforming the police. I don't believe that the police is irreformable or incapable of being reformed. Because if you say let us abolish, it is impossible. constitutionally, you cannot. You will not be able to achieve that. So reform is still the way out. It will take the president of Nigeria. We have the Police Service Commission that is supposed to checkmate these things. I wrote a petition to them on the Kobia's case. I'm still waiting for them to respond. You have the IG. I wrote to the IG. The IG has not even acknowledged my petition. Right? I've had matters that I've taken to the National Assembly. The National Assembly gave another and the police disobeyed. So we are dealing with a situation where the system has completely broken. And the reason why these killings will not stop, why I keep asking the question who is next, is that as far as I'm concerned, we don't have a president in Nigeria. We don't have a president because if the president is serious, I gave one solution. Any state where somebody is killed by the police, remove the commissioner of police of that state. Remove the DPO under whose division that person was functioning. Remove the area commander that officer is working. If you do this in 5 cases, I am telling you, you will see systemic changes. Use their officers as scapegoats. Charge them for failure of supervision. Don't just go after. Look at this case. The police station we are talking about, it happened before. A young man was killed, recently in that same place, at the police station before Bolanle. Why? Because those who are supposed to supervise that division have failed. So let us not say that, the Lagos State government is interested in this case. Deal with the DPO of that station. Put him on orderly room trial. Take away his rank. Bring the area commander. Put him on orderly room trial. Demote him. You don't have to dismiss him. Demote him. Remove the commissioner of police of Lagos State for failure of supervision. Do this in 5, 10 cases. Let us see whether the police will not change. It takes political will. Until this is done, because if the commissioner of police knows that when something goes wrong in his command, he's going to be punished for it, he will hold the area commanders accountable. The area commanders will hold the DPO accountable. That is how you are going to solve this problem. But guess what? The superiors are shielding their people. They are shielding their people. And that is why these killings is going on. I yield the mic.
All right, thank you, Inibe, for touchlighting that area. I don't know. I'm still having some requests, but let me say the 2 people I have requested.
I think you can't. We can take it to 8 p.m. if it is agreed. You can add 20 minutes.
Yeah. All right. So Jayem, you are supposed to be the next speaker, and then I will now accept some more speakers. So Jayem, unmute your mic and speak. You can do that for 2 minutes. And after that, we will have Ugodu Chukwuebuka and then Mike LLB. Ugodu, can you unmute your mic and speak if you are here? I think Jayem is now with us. Okay, Mr. Mike LLB, can you speak?
Hey,
all right.
can I?
Yeah,
Hey,
go
Jan is
ahead.
back.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Jayem, I saw your
Yeah,
hand raised up.
I agree with what the lawyer said, the host. Talking about a president that believes in reforming the police, because I really think what we are experiencing is not just something that started today. Let's be straight. Some of these things started from the colonial times, and it was transmitted to the military times. You understand? So at the end of the day, now we see these things manifesting in different areas of our lives, and what we call discipline or how we want to take actions, and it's not really the proper way. From just going to school, you see how children are being beaten there. We call it discipline, and this thing is transmitted also to the police force, to the system. So even the lady that spoke before, talking about the US, there, it's still the same thing, product of slavery. So bringing it back to our police system and Nigeria, at the end of the day, you see that it is this same mindset of the military had then, that they can do anything. You're a bloody civilian. Who are you? You understand? And it is transmitted in every area of the policing system. I've been a victim of something like that. I was able to escape that because I had some cash on me.
I had to give the bribe the police officer. I will call it bribery because I didn't do anything. In fact, he extorted me. And sadly, this man is still from my same my community in Edo State. We met somewhere else, and that, in fact, he extorted me because we were just on a lonely road. So it is very sad that this thing is still happening and nothing is being done. And like the host said, there is no channel. That is just short form. There's no channel for us to complain. The civil service in Nigeria is very bad in every area. It is very bad. Now we have Servicom to handle some issues in other sectors, but we don't. I'm not sure we have anything like that for the police force. So if an order is being flaunted or flouted, I don't know what was that word. I'm angry. I don't really. I'm not getting my words clearly. But if a superior gives an order and the junior officer does not want to carry it out, like let's say I release someone and the junior officer does not want to comply, I think there should be a channel, an official means to relate these things back to the head. And like the police officer, they have numbers, they have names on their uniforms. Why is there no channel, no means for us to relate these things back, convey these messages or this report back to their head? And why is nothing being done when we even try at all? And you go back to our school, it was recently that they started this civic education again in secondary school. So a lot of us don't know our rights. The police beat person will say, yes, this person they do, why you go dress like this, why you go cut your hair like this, why you go carry hair like this, why you go carry dread, why you go paint hair. And those things, you have not broken the law when you keep dread and you have dread when your hair is dyed to any color. You've not broken the law. These same people celebrate artists that are they follow, carry guns following artists.
30 seconds, please. 30 seconds so that we can have everyone speak. Thank you.
So, to summarize everything, I think what we need is proper education for both the masses and the police. We need to look at the caliber of people we are recruiting into the police force. We don't just go and recruit anybody. No, like there should be a psychological evaluation once in a while. Know what these people are going through. Like, it is very important when someone is under stress. You talk to this person. I think abroad when some police officers are maybe they are going through divorce or something, they call them and they just give them therapists. I think people that study psychology should be of use, of relevance in the police force at this moment. Then when they are recruiting again, they should look at the kind of people they are recruiting. They just don't go and recruit anybody. Recruit them properly. In the police system,
Thank you. Thank you. I think you are basically just repeating your point about proper recruitment process. So I will allow the next speaker to speak, which is Jayem. And while Jayem is speaking, the next person will be Chikwado, and then Dave, and Minister Network, whatever. Jayem, are you there? Chikwado? I don't know.
I'm sorry, my name is Mike, and you did ask me to speak a few minutes ago, but someone spoke before me. Can I go ahead? Is that all right?
All right, go
All
ahead.
right, thank you very much. It's a good space, and unfortunately, my heart goes out to the young lady who is equally a colleague in the profession that has lost her life. Nobody should lose their life in such circumstances, and it's really, 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 really terrible. I just want to pick up from what the last speaker said and say that we are having in a policing system in Nigeria not the best of us. And because we don't have the best of us in a policing system in Nigeria, this thing would be reoccurring. This level of, and I don't know, people will go back to say, oh, but people should understand what humanity basically is. But the problem is equally the fact that the policing system is bastardized, right? Even from the constitution. And in Ibege, I just want to, I understand you saying that the president of the country needs to reform the police. But if you look at the constitutions precisely, the president of the country does not command the police force. The person that is in charge of the police force is the Inspector General of Police and the Police Service Commission. If you look at the diagram of the constitution, the president is commander-in-chief of the armed forces, and the police is not an armed force, it's a civil organization.
So it becomes very difficult even from a constitution to actually see the kind of role the president will play that will not even be infringing on the constitution in reforming the police. But I totally agree that something needs to be done through the National Assembly for us to have a proper structure on what policing, because policing affects each and every one of us. One way I think we can move forward to have a systemic approach into solving this problem is the introduction of an insurance-based system into the policing. Now, this is the thing. This is what I feel about having an insurance-based system into the policing, whereby the policing authority knows that a whole lot of funding and protection will be taken away from them by a third organization that has nothing to do with their day-to-day running of the activities. They will begin to sit up. Because when the police begins to pay enormously through insurance, because in the insurance, the problem we have with enforcement of those things, especially when it comes to the policing system, is the fact that they are all scared of paying money. But when that responsibility is given to an insurance company, an insurance-based system, the idea of paying compensation for infractions, most of these infractions can be blatant mistakes, but they will be paid for either way. The policing system, knowing fully well that their monies are being frittered out by the carelessness of the people, because the insurance companies will demand, they will have to pay. They'll have to pay their premium, and it will be in billions of naira just because the insurance policies need to meet up to claims. They will eventually begin to clamp down. And I totally agree with you equally when you talked about I think the last speaker, when you talk about the fact that the supervising aspect of the police coming from the level of supervision we have in the police force is not proper. We need a total overhaul of the way we police in Nigeria. Firstly, we need to begin to recruit the best of us. I can assure you, there is no way you have somebody that graduated with school set that will have the acumen with the level of criminality in Nigeria, whereby people are doing sophisticated things that will match up to those levels, even in his intellect, even in his emotions, even in his social behavior, even in his confidence in investigating certain crimes. We need to begin to have people that are capable of becoming medical doctors, engineers, psychologists, people that are capable of becoming lawyers. We get recruited into the police force from the word go. In that way, you will begin to restore the respect, the credibility, the integrity of the police force. Right now, we just go to look for the worst of us and put in the police force. That is why when you go to a police barracks, you will be ashamed at the deplorable level of living. How do you expect people that come out from those level of squalor into your streets to think properly? They will never think properly. They've been liberal. Okay, unfortunately, I don't know the person the police officer that committed this crime, but I've read that he has been in the police force for over 20 years. If he had been living in squalor for over 20 years, if he had had that level of abject poverty, living in the barracks for over 20 years, and we know the kind of barracks we have in Nigeria, you expect that man to stand in the street and think properly? He will never think properly. He's psychologically bereft. He's financially bereft. He's bereft in every moral standard. And that is the level. Unfortunately, we have that level of policing from over 80% of our police officers. We need to do a lot. I agree with the former speaker, we need to do a lot with recruitment, but I think we need to move it up. Policing should not be one of those that you say school set should be the reason for joining the police force. You need to show us that you are capable of becoming an engineer. If you were in the police office, the police service, you are capable of becoming a medical doctor, capable of becoming that level of intelligence and acumen is what I mean. That level of intelligence and acumen, so that we can trust you to take care of the rest of us. Because the people you are going to be policing are equally that sophisticated. And when you are challenged, and when you find yourself not having the confidence to stand before them, and you have a gun in your hand, the only thing that gives you confidence is your gun. And that is the problem we're having in the police force. I'm happy for the space. And again, my heart goes out to the family to the husband and the children that are going through this terrible loss at this time. It is unfortunate. It should never happen. And please, may they rest in peace. And thanks again for the space. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike, for your submission. Dave, are you ready to speak? Otherwise, we have Dave. I am Raycon. Are you ready to speak? Oof.
Good evening. I think
Good
my
evening.
opinion to this matter is very, very simple. If the commissioner of police can be put on trial or demoted to assistant commissioner of police, while the area commander can be actually demoted to the post of a DPO, or when the DPO is being sanctioned and demoted to inspector, then I think all this nonsense and rubbish will stop. Let's go back to the ENDSears. After the ENDSears, about 2 or 3 months, we had no policeman on the road. The road was clean, everything was clean, and people can actually go out and come back safely every day. But the moment these people get back on the road, things started jamming up. Look at K2. If you're coming down to Ikorodu Road, there are some policemen there. They're always there, always causing nuisance every day. So now come down to Ikorodu. When you go to the area command in Njenje, there are some policemen there that put on mufti using a highest boss and a previous boss. These people pick people up anytime they want, dump them at Njenje division and put them on is it courtesan or something, or suspect or something. So these people will just extort you and go. But the moment you go to that station and try to report, they will tell you, those people are from Abuja, they are Abuja policemen, we cannot interfere. I was like, who is Abuja policemen? What is it? They will just tell you, even the area commander cannot call them. I was like, And these people are actually in this area command under the supervision of the area commander, and the area commander cannot sanction, they cannot call them. Is that what you are telling me? These people will just tell you that's what they do, that is who they are, they can't do that, they can't. So the moment you go around, you see people in a Sienna bus doing the same thing. Last week, a policeman at Shagam Road shot an Okada man. You're trying to pick up a bike, and the man, there was a screwdriver on the bike, and the next thing, I think the screwdriver tore his wrist or something, and there was some kind of harm on his arm, and it was like, the man said he didn't know anything. What happened? The next thing, this policeman just cocked his gun and shot the man dead. That was just last week. So all these things is happening every day by day. But the moment these DPOs, area commanders, CPs can be put on trial or demoted to the lowest level, believe me, we have sanity in the police force. Thank you.
Thank you very much for making that very quick. Yeah. And also, I want to make a comment regarding to what you said and what Indi Berefion said about, when an order is given and then a lower ranked police officer do not obey it. Could it be a case of they are all working together? Yeah, there is an understanding between them that, okay, when this order is brought before you, don't obey it, because that's the only way to explain the lack of consequences for the disobedience within the police force. We know how our people handles power, and how they want to forcefully enforce respect and obedience. So I don't want to, I seem not to understand how it is different in this case, except, of course, they are all working together. That's just what I wanted to say. I think we've had everybody speak. Lime, your hand is up. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, just one clarification for Inibe, because from what I was trying to deduce from his response to my question, what you are trying to say, and can you correct me if I'm wrong or clarify? It seems technically in Nigeria, we don't have fundamental human rights, because even if we go to court and we win the case, we still can't enforce or receive justice. So in that case, pretty much the right is null and void, even though it is in the constitution. So can you clarify in maybe in layman terms for those of us that don't understand the big language in the constitution? Are you saying that we have or we don't have fundamental human rights in Nigeria?
Thank you. No, that is not my point. We have fundamental rights. If you look at Chapter 4 of our Constitution, the rights are enshrined therein. What I said is that we have a problem of impunity. Impunity is when there is no consequence for misconduct or misdemeanor. In this instance, now generally, when you go to court to enforce fundamental rights, there are several reliefs that the court can grant. They could be declaratory, they could be injunctive, right? Declaratory in the sense that the court may make a declaration that the arrest of Mr. A is unlawful, the invasion of Mr. A's house is unlawful, the killing of Mr. A is unlawful. There could also be other, mandatory orders. The court can make an order of injunction to compel the police to release someone in detention. That one is more practicable. It's easier to enforce. Typically, really, once you sue the police for enforcement of fundamental rights and you serve them, they will hurriedly either arraign the person in court, some in many instances on trumped up charges, or just rush to file a charge in court to defeat the fundamental right action, even though there are authorities to the effect that subsequent arraignment does not justify previous wrongful detention. Now, but that is what they do in practice, or they will just release the person, right? So we still can go to court. I don't want us to make it look like enforcing our rights is hopeless. That is not the point I'm making. The laws are there. You can go to court. The court can make an order for someone to be released. Where we have a challenge is two reliefs. One, monetary compensation. I made the point that because of the law, the state of the law, and I cited the Sheriff and Civil Process Act that requires the consent of the Attorney General. It is very difficult to enforce monetary judgment against the police. Very difficult. That is in addition to them exhausting their right of appeal. Right? One of the judgments I got against the police was for Charlie Boy, a 50 million judgment, where he was assaulted during the resign and resume or resign protest against Buhari. That time Buhari was outside the country for over 3 months, and he was attacked by the police. We got a 50 million naira judgment against the police at the Federal High Court. They went to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal just affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court. We are now hearing that they have gone to the Supreme Court. So you have a situation where even within the legal system, there are processes that can also frustrate you being able to enforce judgment against the police, including the exercising their right of appeal. So normally I would expect the court to make an order. If you are applying for stay, which is what they normally do, the court should normally order them to pay that money into an interest yielding account. I don't know how many judges have actually done that in respect of the police, right? Now, even when the Supreme Court has ordered that judgment should be obeyed, you still have disobedience. If you Google after this space, Google the case of Guardian and the federal government. This is a judgment given under the military government, confirmed by the Supreme Court of Nigeria, that Guardian newspaper should be paid, I think, about 50 million or a lot of money. I'm not sure that judgment has been enforced till date. This is judgment by the highest court of the land. Now, the other aspect is apology. Under the Constitution, every person that is wrongly detained is entitled to public apology. So usually when we draft our originating motion or notice for the enforcement of fundamental rights, there will always be a relief ordering the police to apologize. Under the military, my mentor, Femi Falana, would tell me, give me examples where the police the government would apologize. Today, when the court orders the police to apologize for violating the right of a citizen, I am not aware of one example where the police has published an apology in paper or advertorial in the media, radio or television, apologizing for violating the rights of citizens. What you would find is the one they do on their own. Like today, I just saw a tweet now that the commissioner of police was at the family house of Raheem to, pay a condolence visit. And then you're also aware that the IG had also apologized and all. That is what they do. But where that order comes from the court, funny enough, that is the one they will disobey. So they can apologize on their own. But when the court order them to apologize to you, they are not likely to do so. And there is no consequence for that. There is no consequence for that. But I am also happy that despite how gloomy these things look, we are seeing a judiciary in recent days that is maybe becoming, I don't want to be too cautious optimism, sort of, where judges are now making order
citing the Inspector General of Police for contempt, citing the chairman of EFCC for contempt, citing the chairman, the chief of army staff for contempt. We need more of such judicial intervention. We need more of such radical decisions by our judges, by the judiciary. If the judiciary is up to its responsibility, some of these things will stop. As a lawyer that, have passion for human rights, it is very frustrating. You file applications in court to enforce the rights of people, and then sometimes you see our judges being too careful, looking at, I don't want to speak too much about that, but there are some challenges we face within the system that makes it even discouraging to go to court sometimes to enforce the rights of people. But at the end of the day, the court is still the last hope of the common man, because without the court, what other choice do you have? So we must still invoke the judicial process, even though we have issues with enforcement. There are fundamental rights in Nigeria, but those rights are enforceable, but with certain limitations that I have explained, which, it will take some serious political will. And lastly, if I could just clarify my comment based on what my colleague said. He said that the power to control the police is vested in the Police Service Commission. Yes, that is true to an extent. If you look at the third schedule to the Constitution, the powers of the Police Service Commission is clear to discipline and, of course, recruitment, as affirmed by the Court of Appeal. Now, when you look at Section 215, you will see that the President has the power to give lawful directives to the IG. It is there in Section 215. And it is also the President, really, that is the appointing authority. The President is the one that appoints the Inspector General of Police in consultation with the Nigeria Police Council, which most Nigerians are not even aware that there is a body, the real body that is even supposed to regulate the police, is the Nigeria Police Council, comprising of the President and all the 36 governors. Since Buhari became president, I'm not sure that council has met up to 2 times. And the governors are not complaining. So you have the Nigeria Police Council that is supposed to checkmate some of these things. But that body is basically useless as far as I'm concerned. So that is why I said that political will is required, because all this falls down to leadership. And at the executive, it is the president. If the president of the country says today that he's interested in reforming the police, I'm telling you, everybody will fall in line. Because who appoints members of the police, the chairman of the Police Service Council, the Police Service Commission? It's still the president. The president is the appointing authority. Who summons the meeting of the police council is the president. So the president has a lot to do. The president can do a lot. I'm telling you, the president can. I have given one clear recommendation on how to reform, change the police, how to stop these killings. Use the system of vicarious liability, not in terms of prosecution. You cannot prosecute the IG because a policeman killed somebody, but you can administratively sanction him for failing in his supervisory role. If you do that in 5 cases, I'm telling you the police will change. I'm telling you. Use their superiors as scapegoats so that they will be able to checkmate those who are under them. For me, that is the easiest way. That is the easiest way. It is look, these things are possible. Let the president call the IG today and give him a matching order and then live up to it. Right? Because the IG still answers to the president. He answers the reports to the president. As far as I'm concerned, we don't have a president that cares about police reform. And that is why another ENDSARS is going to happen, whether we like it or not. I yield the mic.
All right, Inibe Ifimo, thank you very much. We've exceeded 8 p.m. I am going to let the sarcastic king speak for 1 minute, and then Inibe, you give the closing remark. So, sarcastic king, over to you.
Thanks for having me. This is an interesting conversation. Well, all has been said, but I just feel pity for us Nigerians. Because when this kind of thing happen, we come to space, make contribution, nothing's being done. Let me give an example. Deborah. Nobody's talking about Deborah again. No justice for Deborah that was killed in Sokoto up till now. As Nigeria is very big, the so-called, in quote, giant of Africa cannot even locate the killers. But when they want to arrest somebody, maybe like freedom fighter, they know how to arrest him through all means. But look at what happened in the case of Deborah. We came out, shout, hashtag for the justice for Deborah. Nothing is being done. The funniest thing, another thing is when this incident happened in Lagos, that same place that they killed is not even up to 2 weeks, and they just sweep that one under the rug. You know, as in this country, I used to say something that if poverty doesn't kill you, background doesn't kill you, police will kill you. The truth of the matter is that if another solution that I can say that they should supposed to take is that most policemen, they like coming to the southern part of this country. If you collect bribe or you do any illegal things, they should just deploy you to Boronu, all those odd zone, so that you go and pick your music there. Because this killing is too much. I serve in the northeast. You don't hear this kind of police brutality. I'm telling you, in the north, you hardly hear police brutality in the north. But in the south, I don't know. They don't take us for granted. I'm not being sectionalizing all this insecurity though. But it's just like it's kind of obvious. How many times have you hear police kill somebody in Kaduna or police kill somebody in Sokoto? You hardly hear that kind of news. Is it that they are well behaved or that those places are the most peaceful place? No. You understand? So for me, one of the solutions I just say is that once you fucked up, maybe they just deploy you to Sambisa. Maybe you go and do your peacekeeping. When anytime army fight those soldiers, you will be the mopping. You'll be mopping force, because this thing is getting too much. Today we are organizing space for the person that is killed. Who knows who will be killed again? You still another space for that, for justice for this just for that. When will the real concrete step will be taken in this country? As in, this country is just a joke. It's just a joke. So that's just my little contribution. Thank you very much.
Okay, Inibe, over to you.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me? Thank you to everyone that tuned in today, that joined this space. Just to add a little to what the speaker said, I agree with you. If we are going to be honest with ourselves, Southern Nigeria is over police. I think it is a conversation that we will have to have someday. I've had cause to visit, to travel to Kano a number of times this year, because of my work. And I was very amazed the first time I went to Kano. I just couldn't believe what I witnessed, what I saw. And I even, came back. By the time I came back, I put up something on social media that a couple of blogs in the country carried. And I said that Nigeria is running, we have a one country, two system in Nigeria. So in Kano, for example, despite the population, you would hardly encounter police on the road. I'm telling you, our brother from the north here can affirm what I'm saying. You would have even places that you will expect police presence. You would hardly have all this nonsense about stopping you on the road to check. I didn't see that. I went through the different, but I didn't see that. You would hardly see police interact, including places like when you are passing the government house, the state secretariat. These are places that I have either passed through or I have entered. Several places you would hardly encounter police, including the Aminu Kano airport. The police is there, but you would see a difference between the way they would interact with you in Lagos and the way they interact with you in Kano. So I asked myself, why is it so different? There is a problem of our policing. Whereas to go to a place like Onitsha, the number of police checkpoints that you will have to encounter from Lagos to Onitsha is just lunacy. So why do we have this structural difference in policing? It's not a sentimental or tribal argument. It is an argument that I want to know, I will personally want to understand. Why is it that the way the police functions in the southern part of the country is different from what I have seen, particularly in Kano? Particularly in Kano, I could barely sight a police officer on the road. And even when you sight them, they have no business interacting with you. So all this, you are going to computer village, police will stop you here. Now everybody in Lagos knows places that police are stationed, harassing people. It doesn't happen in Kano. So when they did not understand ENDSARS, I don't blame them. I'm telling you, it does not happen. It is very rare. For the number of times that I've been there, my observation and even interaction with people there, I saw a radical difference in policing between Kano in particular that I can speak about and Lagos. These are two states that I have interacted with. So why is it so? I like that observation that the last speaker had made. And I think we must maybe have a separate space to interrogate that question. Who knows, that may give us the solution to police brutality in the southern part of the country. I'm not saying people's rights are not violated in the north by the police. It happens. We read about that. But the percentage is not comparable. What is the difference? Why? So we need to ask that question. I thank all of you for joining the space. Again, what can we do as Nigerians? We don't have coercive power. We cannot carry guns to go and enforce the law. We are not the president, we are not the National Assembly, but we are citizens. The office of citizen is one that we must constantly invoke. And one of the ways of doing that is by conversations like this, holding spaces to share our opinions, to speak and make recommendations. Because except we talk about it, we will not even see action. The reason why some of these steps are being taken is because we are talking about it. So let nobody say that holding spaces such as this is a waste of time. It is not. It is not. Silence is not an option when things are ill done. Like Lord Denning said, it's not an option when things are ill done. So we must continue to talk. And on that note, I express my condolence once again with the family of the deceased. We will continue to monitor the case to demand for justice. I had invited the spokesperson of the NBA, the National Public Secretary, to be part of this space. I want to believe he's unavoidably absent. We will continue to monitor what is going on. And I continue to appeal to us, please take interest in cases of abuse by the police, tweet about it, tag people, draw attention, continue to do the little that we can. And like I've always said, history will vindicate the just. Thank you and good night, everyone.